Welcome again. This is Brother G coming to you again with another video message, another video teaching. The woman taken in adultery. It is inconclusive. Yes. With new eyes, fresh outlook, better understanding. Yes. It is inconclusive. Well, those who are religious, are Christian, or otherwise minded, whatever that is, if you read the story, it could be taken as a symbolism, meaning it's not actually a story, whichever way you want to take it. But I'm going to take it in this teaching as at face value, basically what it is said. I'm not going to interpret it or symbolize it. The story is inconclusive. Based on what I see and now understand, the evidence according to the text, the evidence against the woman in the story is inconclusive. And yes, not because and not yes, and no, not because there is two or three witnesses. It says one can, you could bring an accusation or one could be blamed. It might be right. You can accuse somebody of, you could accuse somebody, one or two or three or four or five people could accuse somebody. But because somebody accused you doesn't make what they are accusing you of right. So in the story, as we read it, or you just go back and read it, the woman taken in adultery, first we have to understand what adultery is, and I think I might get into that. Secondly, the men just brought her taken in adultery and accused her of adultery, and Jesus concluded that she was sinning without any evidence that they were going to stone her. Of course, it's inconclusive. The story taken at face value, no interpretation. It's inclusive. Whether the woman was taken in adultery. Of course, people who are religious will run and say, yes, if the text said that Jesus said, go and sin no more, indeed she was taken in adultery. No, it doesn't. That is not even common sense. No court of law would just make judgment on somebody because two or three witnesses brought an accusation. That doesn't even make sense. So go and look at the story again. And I'm telling you, and I know for a fact now, that the story is inconclusive at face value. I don't have to ask anybody. It is inconclusive. There is no way, not even today, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 50 witness makes you guilty unless we do our due diligence, meaning we turn every possible stone over to see if those 50 witness are true. Of course it's not. So this story of the woman taken in adultery, based on our reality today living in the United States, I already knew this because even the very same text said it on other area. As our teacher Paul would say, we take some of what he says and we don't believe some of the things that he says are what they wrote of him. He said that I'm paraphrasing, never come to a conclusion until the whole matter is finished. I think that's just wisdom. Never take any sides until the story is over. Now some would say that, but the woman didn't say she was sinless. That's what most would say. Obviously, the text would say when Jesus was brought to Pilate, he didn't say that his accuser were wrong. He didn't say it according to the text. He went quietly. But as we read the text, we knew that they were lying. So not because the woman didn't say that she was in adultery, make her to it. I think I'm saying it kind of wrong, but that's all right. Let's understand what is adultery according to the Bible, not to what people, our regular conversation today, church conversation, our regular religious rhetoric. Yes, the church have their own rhetoric. What is adultery according to the Bible? It's simple. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to give you an example of what is adultery according to the Bible, not to what we say adultery is. Basically, adultery is taking another person's spouse, not just spiritually. That's just the beginning of stealing someone's spouse. If you think of stealing someone's spouse, this is not the movies where you are guilty because you think of stealing someone's spouse. The problem is if you don't combat the stealing in your mind, you would actually go out and do it in your physical body, then that's where the guiltiness comes in from, So let's get back what is adultery. Adultery is taking another person's spouse, whether it's a husband or wife. Meaning, when I say take, I mean you literally not sleep with them. According to the Bible, sleeping with or having sex with someone outside of marriage is fornication. Homosexuality, the Bible declare, is fornication, right? So here's an example of David. David, the king in the Bible, committed adultery. Adultery means you take another person's spouse. Now, I'm saying it a lot because many have changed the definition. Also, to expand on adultery is stealing people, children. That's adultery according to the Bible. In the Revelation, in the book of Revelation, and I think in some of the apostles' letters, it's called them, it modernized it up until that time. They use not our time. They call them men stealers or women stealers or child stealers, which is akin clearly unto slavery, where that slavery is adultery. Stealing other people's wives or husband or children, or stealing whole family from relatives. That is adultery according to the Bible, not according to what we are saying today or even Christian rhetoric. It's according to the Bible. Adultery is stealing the person's spouse. So, of course, it's evident to me. The stealing begins in your mind. And when it's fully birthed, then you actually do it. But you can't be immediately guilty in your mind as if the police going to come and lock you up in your mind. Is once you fulfill it and do it, then you're guilty and other people will judge you based on that, especially the spouse or whosoever in power or authority. If we should further modernize adultery to our 2024 century, the idea would still remain as adultery is taking another man's wife or husband and taking them as your own without even giving them a divorce. That's stealing. So it in reality, according to the Bible, if someone will take a person's spouse, or which is a husband or a wife, let's use them, a husband and wife, they're actually committing two sin according to the Bible. Both adultery, stealing the persons, and having fornication with the person according to the Bible, not according to what we say. Now in John, it reads like this: and the scribes and the Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. We're just taking this at face value. So here we see the Pharisees and the scribes taking the woman taken in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, and they said unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. This just reminds me of the story, whether it's an analogy of Joseph when Pharaoh's wife accused him And as we read the text, we realize plainly as we read in the text that she was lying. She wanted to rape Joseph. Again, not even if a king or a queen or even God himself, which is not God, I'm just using that as a reference, accuse you, you have to believe. You have to do your due diligence as they taught us. That's what they teaches us. Even the very Bible teaches us that we can't come to a decision without evaluating every accusation if they are actually true. So, not because now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned, but what thou sayest thou? So now we know this is a lie. Moses did not tell them to stone anybody caught in adultery. Again, let's take this by face value. If Moses is a lawgiver, some people believe that Moses was a magician and him could open water and do all kind of thing. If Moses was a lawgiver, there is no lawgiver could give a law and not do your due diligence when somebody is accused. This is basic, simple, legal, law, justice, judgment matter. This is basic thing. A person like me shouldn't be coming to teach other people who are greater than me, who is over me. I wouldn't even go read the context of Moses. There's no lawgiver today, even back then, would judge a case without first evaluating both and all accusation. So this is also a lie. They said all of this, tempting him, that they might have to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down and with his finger wrote on the ground as though he did not hear them. So of course, I ran ahead of myself. Of course, they were tempting him to accuse him. I wonder how they would accuse him. I think on face value, they would have actually accused him because of how he judged the woman without any real evidence. He would only be taking the word of the accuser and not the word of the accused. That's what I said. This message is inconclusive. We have to add some gaps and we have to add some bridges to this thing. We have to make this thing meet because we're lost. We are lost. Even people higher than me are lost on this context. So many people get stuck wanting to know what he wrote on the ground and not looking at the message or taking away from the message or if there's a teaching here. So when they continue asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto them, He that is without a sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her. So now people here would say, people with sin not supposed to judge. So are we going to take out the judges and the courts and the judges and the magistrates that's in our courts who plainly tell lie? Are we going to do that? If there is a message on his face valid, no symbolism, no analogy, me just take this as face valid. If there's a message, him said, He that without a sin among you, let him first cast a stone. So if anything, he's telling the justice and the judges and those that are in position, if you are without sin, you're supposed to judge with some leniency as they modernize it. Leniency meaning mercy, with some grace, which sometimes the judge them do. You do hear them give people grace. That's basically the message, one of the message here. But this is inconclusive. I'm just putting some meat to it because now I realize what's going on in this thing. So in truth, Jesus can't judge the woman without the woman it actually being that the woman is an adulterer, depending on which side of the coin you watch. Was she the adulterer or the adulteress or the one caught in it, meaning somebody caught her in it? It's not clear. But if there is a teaching behind this, it was to the Pharisees and the Sadducees to teach with grace. And if there's another message to this, here's my point. If there's another message to this, it is those who are under authority, meaning that you're under people where can put you put you away or stone you, as they would say, they are the justices of the time. You have to walk careful amongst them, because them would stone you, because they are hypocrites when they judge. So try your best not to stand before them, because they will cut your head off, even though they are doing the same thing. Haven't we seen this? Again, Jesus stooped down upon the ground and wrote on the ground, and they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, well, at least these judge and justices at conscience, went out one by one, beginning at the least until the greatest. And Jesus, Jesus was left alone with the woman. So when Jesus lifted up himself and saw none, after him right upon the ground, and all of us are caught in what he wrote on the ground. That's not either here or no. That's inconsequential. I learn a new word. Go through my youth. But himself and saw none but the woman. He said unto her, Woman, where are those thine accuser? Had no man condemned thee? Meaning, condemn is different from judgment, all right? Because condemnation mean them are going to stone her to death, meaning she can't come back from death. That's what condemnation mean. People, Rasta no. All right, go on. She said, No man, Lord. And Jesus said unto her, Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. So by virtue of rereading, said Jesus said, Go and sin no more. We think that the woman is caught in adultery today. So we read that without any meat, without any understanding. If Jesus is going to say by face value, say, Go and sin no more, and he believe the accuser, Jesus drunk like them. Let me just start plain. But if he did not, and he used all the method that was available to him, and he did it according to what justice and judgment, according to the same New Testament, said him a come with. Him couldn't judge her unless, without a shadow of a doubt, they say without reasonable doubt. She have to also admit that she is either adulterer or an adulteress, or she was caught in it. So this message is inconclusive. We have to add some meat to it. Yeah, may I come slow to it, but other people need to hear this message, hear what I'm saying. They need to bridge it. They need to bridge some of the text in their mind to what we are seeing today. You can't judge a situation just based on your accusers. You can't judge it based on that. You have to have some other method to clarify and clearly judge somebody and come to a conclusion. That's obvious. So if you go back and look at Moses, whether in a context or not, no madman can judge a thing and say for stone somebody because somebody accused you. That is wrong. That don't make sense. Every one of us, every single one of us, even the judge, even the unjust judge, want people to judge them according to what is just and according to what is right. So I just add some meat to the thing, because me the last too. Because we never know. It's either them truncate the message, them hide the message, and wanna talk all kind of foolishness. But the basic truth about this, face value, and I'm just taking it in one aspect and one respect or one perspective. If this is by face value, this needs some more bridge. Anyway, this is Brother G again. Big up on yourself. Big up on yourself. The kingdom was always here. Where the kingdom gone? The kingdom not gone away. Are we gone left the kingdom? Big up on yourself.